The Bitcoin conference is live, and there's a lot of people out in Las Vegas having a whole lot of fun right now for the next couple of days. But the big question is, what happens after this conference is over? Will we see another altcoin crash like we have always seen in past Bitcoin conferences? In today's video, we're going to go into the details of what you need to know about what's happening next. Is it time to sell your altcoins? Don't think that this is just a FUD story, a FUD title, a FUD thumbnail. There's a big reason why we're discussing this topic today. You do want to watch all the way to the end of the show. And if you enjoy the episode, make sure to leave us a like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. All right, let's go. Welcome in, everybody. It is Wednesday, which means it's time for a live show. The Three Musketeers are all here. I got Smay, I got Tshroom. Tshroom, though, you're coming to us from a new location. I got to start out with you today. How are you doing, my friend, and where are you right now?
I am in the beautiful city of Las Vegas, Nevada, having a very good time here at Bitcoin 2025 in the studios of Sin City. If you haven't come and checked out their studios, you got to. It's a amazing setup here, very sophisticated, very great.
Yeah, that looks very, very cool. Got to give a shout out to the guys over there at Sin City Crypto. Make sure, if you are not following them, subscribe to their channel. Go subscribe after this show is over. As always, though, in his ping hat, getting better each and every single day at golf. Smay, how are we doing today, my friend?
Tim, I have to say, as usual, coming to you live from my bedroom. I am here, ready to go, ready to talk crypto. And Tim, I wish I was getting better every day. I actually am the same badness level that I've been this whole time.
Oh, well, that's not great. Hopefully your day gets better as it goes on. Someone asked in chat already, were the boys left unsupervised again? No, Tshroom is here. Now, Tshroom has no access to a computer, so he's going to have to judge my performance as I go through some headlines, talk about what's going on. The headlines really don't have a lot to do with altcoins, but they are things that I want to discuss with the team, let you guys know about in case you have not seen the news. But before I get there, Tshroom, we're going to talk more about it at the end. What is your favorite thing so far? Your day, for you, it's day 2 of the Bitcoin conference. What's the biggest thing, the most important thing that's happened to you so far? We'll save more stories for the end, so stick around for that. But what's the biggest thing happening right now out there?
Well, I was able to meet Peter Schiff, and I talked him into selling all of his gold and buying Bitcoin.
Good.
No, but I did get to see Peter Schiff. You guys can go check out a picture of the crew with Peter Schiff there at the Bitcoin conference. But I'd say that this morning was pretty significant. JD Vance delivered a speech this morning to the entire conference. It was probably close to 15,000 people. I don't know that there was anything that he said that's going to necessarily move the market, but it was a renewed sense of optimism and bullishness for folks who are looking for Bitcoin to go up and to the right. And I will also say that there's a general tone of acceptance to crypto, much more than I've seen at the Bitcoin conference in the past in Nashville and Miami. There's just a lot more crypto friendliness, Web3 friendliness. It's not all about Bitcoin, but obviously Bitcoin is still very much the main focus.
Yeah, we're going to discuss some of that here in a little bit. I'm sure you'll have some takes to give because we do have a headline from JD Vance, but very cool. Again, we'll ask more questions towards the end, and you kind of also let us know what's coming up that's big on the radar people should be paying attention to for the next couple of days. Let's go ahead and go into the news real quick. Now, if you came and you saw the title, you saw our altcoins potentially about to crash or dump, we're going to cover that in a little bit. Let's get into some news headlines. Just in general, we need to be prepared for. Then we will have a full-blown discussion and look at the charts about altcoins. Will we see a dump? Will we see altcoin season start? Stick around to find out what my take is on that and what the charts are saying. But a couple headlines you need to be aware of. First of all, just in, well, this was this morning, but the tweet says just in, U.S. Labor Department rescinds the 2022 guidance that warned fiduciaries against including crypto in 401k plans. This is pretty big. Get your take on this, Tshroom, but I have been saying for a long time, this is the bull market of institutional adoption. Back in 2021, 2022, there was heavy discouragement. And one of the things was this, the U.S. Labor Department discouraging, telling all of these 401ks, hey, do not include crypto. It's too speculative. It's too bad. Don't let people put this in their retirement. Them rescinding this is just a continuation of what we have been talking about for a long time now. 2021 was the bull market of suppression. That's why Bitcoin didn't make it over 100,000. That's why altcoins didn't get as high as they really were capable of. This time, it probably is going to be a little different. Tshroom, do you read this and have anything additional to say about this? How does this make you feel? Did you add crypto to your 401k?
I have added Ethereum ETFs and Bitcoin ETFs to my IRA, not a 401k because I'm not a corporate pawn. Just kidding. So yeah, but this has definitely been, a time where adding crypto and stacking crypto is definitely benefited folks. If you bought during the bear market, especially, but interesting, should be in profit for Bitcoin. There's only a couple of people who bought maybe north of 108,000 for Bitcoin who aren't in profit. But yeah, absolutely continuing to stack Bitcoin and crypto here.
Well, you mentioned earlier, let's keep moving on. You mentioned JD Vance spoke this morning. The biggest thing that I saw, the notes takeaway, going back to my screen here, Vice President JD Vance says that over 100 million Americans will soon own Bitcoin. I'm assuming some of this has to do with maybe some of that 401k. We also know Coinbase has been added to the S&P 500, which means if you own the S&P 500, technically a part of that is you own Coinbase, and part of owning Coinbase is owning cryptocurrency. But Tshroom, did he go into any more details on this? Did he give clarity, any details as to why he believes over 100 million Americans will soon own Bitcoin?
I wouldn't say that he really gave too much clarity on how that would happen, like the method or really the mechanism to unlock that. I think more than anything, it's just kind of highlighting the regulatory posturing from the executive branch of this country is finally pro crypto, pro Bitcoin, of course, that being the Trump administration. So I think that's really what he's nodding at more than anything. It's not like there's going to be some national wallet that everybody will be able to get and buy Bitcoin like in El Salvador or anything like that. It's just, the door is open. America's open for business, Bitcoin, and there's less and less hindrances to the average American buying and owning Bitcoin than ever before.
I think you also hit on something there that's pretty big. You talked about people with the Trump administration, with seeing our elected officials be so outwardly pro crypto, pro Bitcoin. How many people are not necessarily investors? They haven't invested in crypto in the past, but they're watching the president make those moves and saying, I need to get involved. So for example, I've said it several times here, my mother-in-law, which I don't know if she's watching. I think she started watching this up. So if she is watching, hello, mother-in-law, I'm going to tell a story about you. Hopefully you don't mind. Her and her husband, very big Trump supporters, very big Trump fans. When they saw Trump come out a little over a year ago, pro crypto, they started asking questions and saying, oh, maybe Tim's been on to something. But she's recently reached out to me and she asked me, I'm gonna make a whole video about this topic coming out later this week. But she said, Tim, what can I invest $1,000 in right now and make a lot of money very quickly? Oh, it's a very dangerous question. But I'm going to write up a little thing for it. I'm going to make a video for you guys, a crypto portfolio for your mother-in-law, $1,000. But she's a great example of someone who, if Trump was not invested in crypto, if Trump wasn't pro crypto, I don't know if she necessarily would be. I think there's going to be millions of other Americans just like her who maybe they saw crypto in the past and said, I don't know what this is. I can't touch it. I can't feel it. I don't understand it. I'm going to just stick to US dollars and gold. But now that they're watching Trump and his team kind of promote it and talk about us being the crypto capital of the world, they feel more comfortable getting involved with it. I say all that to say I really do hope that crypto does not become a partisan issue. I think one of the good things about it right now is that it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat. A lot of people can agree, whichever side of the aisle they're on, that crypto is an amazing tool that can be used for the future. Of course, we have people like Senator Elizabeth Warren, not related to me, even though I call her Auntie Beth. She's going to continue to beat the drum of anti-crypto, but don't hold the entire Democratic Party to what she's saying. I would love to see both Republicans, Democrats, moderates, everybody still want to see crypto be a part of the future. And I think we're seeing some of that get realized. Well, we'll keep moving on here. Something that we've been talking about recently, there's been a little bit of debate about USDC Circle. Who's going to buy Circle? They kind of put themselves up for sale. There's a wrestling match between Ripple Labs and Coinbase. Well, does it look like maybe we're not going to see a complete sale? We see BlackRock today has just announced on my screen that they've acquired 10% of USDC issuer Circle in IPO shares. Is that a sign right there? They're not going to sell the whole pot. If they can get an investor and a backer like BlackRock, that's all they need. Tshroom, what are your thoughts on when you saw this headline this morning? BlackRock buying 10% of USDC. First of all, at this point now, it's official. I don't think there's a single thing in the world that BlackRock doesn't own 10% of at least. What were your thoughts when you saw this headline?
Yeah, well, it's not a huge surprise that that's the way that the chips fell on this one. I think that the team over at Circle probably considered the offers from Coinbase and Ripple, but ultimately they said, "Hey, let's just go public. Let's just sell this out to the public markets." And they think that they're going to get a better payout that way. That's going to be a more favorable exit for their C-suite and ultimately for their business model. Other fintech companies like Stripe have decided to not do that, so there'll be some interesting commentary on the differences and the different approaches there. But BlackRock getting 10% makes a ton of sense. I think stable coins are too important for BlackRock not to be involved in. But I will say, BlackRock is going to have to compete with me to acquire more USDC shares, because through my Robinhood app, I was actually offered a seat at the table, and I'm able to pick up shares of Circle, and we'll see. I don't think I get any kind of pre-IPO offering or anything like that, but I'll be able to get a market order in. so BlackRock, you better watch out, because Tshroom is coming for your bags.
Yeah. Overall, before I move on, I think this is going to end up being pretty good. There was conversations and worry if Ripple had somehow gotten a hold of owning USDC with the things that they're working on. Could there be a little bit of a monopoly going on with stable coins? On the flip side, if Coinbase got a hold of it, Coinbase is already a massive behemoth in the crypto space. You kind of are looking at a different form of monopoly over there. There's worry about too much centralization of power and authority. I think this actually is pretty good. If Circle can get away with just having some investors who own part of it, but not end up selling the complete thing to another massive player in the crypto space, you keep a little more competition open. That's something we will never argue with, never say is a bad thing. That's part of the free market, capitalism in general. Competition is a good thing. We don't want one entity to own everything, and then all of a sudden they can decide whatever they want with different decisions. I think it's a good sign that we stay competitive here. Last headline I want to make sure to bring to your attention. Then we're going to get into the topic about altcoins and the question if they're about to crash. Big story here, everybody. The Investing Bros channel last night hit 50,000 subscribers, and that is all because of you guys here watching. I think there's still actually a good amount of you watching that are not subscribed. Hit that button right now to get involved. We're going to be on our way to 100,000 before you know it. This happened a little sooner than we thought. We did not plan it. Tshroom is gone in Las Vegas. We're not able to plan details correctly. But next week, come back next week on this Wednesday live show, we will announce a giveaway for what we're doing with the 50,000 subscribers. Who knows? Maybe we're at 60,000 by then. But we will be doing a community giveaway. Come back next week, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will be celebrating. But thank you again so much to you guys who were a part of that, clicking that subscribe button, telling your friends and family about our channel. It's been a crazy last 2.5 years. I'm just blown away and is very humbled by the support you guys continue to give us. So again, thank you. Smash that like button if that's exciting for you. And hey, if you're watching and you want to be involved in that giveaway next week, it's going to be only for subscribers. So go ahead and subscribe right now so you don't miss out on the potential. Tshroom, anything you want to say on that before we get into altcoin conversation?
Yeah, we hadn't. So first of all, thank you all, bros. We wouldn't have been able to get this far without your support. And, I'll just say, in the same way, that you have supported us, find some other channels that are on the come up as well and support them too and help them spread the good word of crypto and Bitcoin. And I say that because we had Crux and I we've been out on the floor with Matt C as well. We had a conversation today with someone from a very large financial institution. And there is a growing sentiment that the bond market is not long for this world in one way or another. Of course, I'm not going to claim to fully understand exactly the dynamics here. And Tim, I know we hadn't planned this bit, but this is fresh off the press, right? And I won't
Yeah.
disclose who we talked to. They said they didn't want to be on the record. But essentially, I said, but hold on, the 10-year yield is only at 4.5. Historically that yield has been much higher and everything has been okay. And he said, well, it's not that simple, and more people are looking to alternative methods of investment, and bonds are now being considered risky versus assets like gold. We've seen hit all-time highs this year, and obviously Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs this year. So this is a time where promoting and supporting channels and folks who are genuinely interested in spreading the good word of Bitcoin and what it can do as a savings mechanism, if nothing else. This is
Yeah.
a great time to do that. And obviously it's true. It's a good time to do that because channels like ours are reaching 50,000 subs. And that doesn't happen when people don't actually believe in the underlying asset, that we're trading and investing in heavily. So thank you all
Yeah.
so much for helping us get to 50. But it's not just us. There's loads of other awesome Bitcoiners who are going to wear shirts like this to make it happen. Alpha Bros being another one of them for sure.
Great point there. And this is the reality that you guys are looking at. Some of you like to complain about crypto YouTubers. Here's what I'll tell you. Crypto YouTubers are just normal, regular people like you, like me. We're out here trying to do the best we can daily. We don't get everything right, but we're giving you our absolute best, most honest opinions we can. If you want to entrust your crypto news and crypto charting to the CNBCs and the CNNs and the Fox of the world, if you want to let mainstream media be the informer of crypto education, you be my guest. You don't have to watch crypto YouTubers. But if you're kind of like me and sitting here saying, I'm done with mainstream media, I want to talk to real people who have skin in the game, who are not going to just say what some sponsor tells them to say or not say what some CEO way up top who has ridiculous motivations in mind tell them. If you want raw, real, authentic takes on the markets, finding these individuals like here at our channel, Sin City Crypto, several other channels. I could say a lot of names. We'd be here for a while. Find authentic, real people who you feel like maybe they don't get everything right, but they're being real and authentic, and they're telling you their honest truth on how they feel the markets. That's not something you get with mainstream media anymore. We don't want mainstream media to take over the analysis space in crypto. Keep it decentralized with these YouTubers as well. Go subscribe and like all the videos you can. With that said, guys, it is time to get into the topic that I think a majority of you probably clicked on this video for. I saw the comments early. Listen, I want to make sure we get ahead of this. If you think that we just put this title in here to cause FUD, to get clicks, you are wrong. This is something we tell you guys all the time. I love to say things when you guys want to hear. I love telling you what you want to hear when it's the truth. But at the end of the day, when the truth goes against what people want to hear, I'm going to choose what you need to hear 10 out of 10 times, okay? I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And at the end of the day, FUD, no FUD, FOMO, whatever you want to call it, there's a trend that goes with the Bitcoin conference and altcoins that has never been broken. And while I'm going to reserve giving you my final opinion later on, I want to make sure to break down for you so you understand on the charts what happens historically at Bitcoin conferences to the price action. All right. If that's something you love, smash the like, get ready. Let's go into the charts. Let's break it down. I want to start off with the Bitcoin price chart itself, and then we'll go talk about altcoins as well. So first thing you need to know, there's only been a handful of Bitcoin conferences. We've had a Bitcoin conference every year since 2021. So we've had 2024, 2023, 2022. I've had them all highlighted here. 2021, there was supposed to be one in 2020, but of course, a fun event called COVID happened, meaning the whole country was shut down. We weren't allowed to gather. So there was no 2020 conference. There was one in 2019. That was the first probably significant one back here in June 19th. And then before that, the only other one was way back in 2017. But I think there's pictures that have gone viral, whereas I must have gotten rid of it. There's pictures that have gotten viral that's like 10 people attended the one in 2017. So it's not necessarily a very big deal. Starting with Bitcoin, though, you're going to see a trend on Bitcoin that actually shows to be a little worse when it comes to altcoins. Bitcoin Conference 2019, this was the first larger event. It still wasn't a very large conference, but it was way larger than the original one back in 2017. Put a 1 in chat if you were invested in crypto during the Bitcoin Conference in 2019. Put in 100 if you were invested in 2017. I'm sure there's a couple of you out there, but the majority of you probably not. Well, you guys can see here, the Bitcoin Conference, we rallied up into the conference, and it pinpointed the top here in June in 2019. The last day of the conference was the exact peak before Bitcoin would start a multi-month decline in price action, right? So that was the first conference. Now, there's not a trend here to talk about. Just it happened, major conference in Bitcoin's history. We have a local top. All right. Something to be aware of, but not necessarily a massive deal. Let's fast forward what it looked like in 2021, the third Bitcoin conference, but again, one of the largest ones. You can see once again, we were in the middle of, we had just fallen off of a lot of FUD from Elon Musk and Tesla selling their Bitcoin. We were going back and forth. We started to have a little bit of a rally going in the conference, and then boom, last day of the conference, June 4th, all of a sudden, Bitcoin starts to fall once again. I wouldn't necessarily call this a crash. We ended up rallying here a little bit later, but this was still during a period of decline. But again, we rallied into the conference, a lot of excitement, a lot of hope. I was at this conference. This was my first one. And then the price shortly after collapsed over the next couple of days. Fast forward to the next year, 2022. This was during the bear market, but take a look at what Bitcoin had been doing before the conference. There was a sustained bullish movement here in March of 2022, making several people believe that maybe this was just another prolonged pullback, just like the summer of 2021, and we were going to resume the bull market. Well, there you go. We rally into it, start to kind of consolidate, and then the conference happens and Bitcoin starts to fall off a cliff. Are you seeing a trend here? 3 conferences in a row. You rally into it, you fall afterwards. Move forward into 2023. Sorry, that was 2022 back there. This was probably the most boring conference of them all. This one actually, we kind of fell into, had a little bit of a rally a couple days later, and then continue the downside. This is the one outlier when it comes to Bitcoin's price action. Not a lot of stuff happened. This was during a whole period of time where Bitcoin just kept bouncing back and forth between $25,000 and $30,000 before taking off in the fall of 2023 into the Bitcoin ETF. So we got a little bit of an outlier, but still, more often than not, Bitcoin conferences, they rally, they happen, they crash. What about the last one? Last year, 2024, a lot of you guys probably were there or watched online. Donald Trump was the headline speaker, ended up bringing a massive nothing burger to the main stage at that conference. But what do you notice, similar to the other ones? Big rally in the days and weeks before the conference. The conference brought us a little bit of volatility, and then boom, the conference happens, and Bitcoin's price would plummet once again. Okay, so what we have going on right now, just to be very clear, as the conference is live right now, we have been rallying for multiple weeks into this order. I'm not going to give you my opinion just yet, right? This is the part of the show where I just show you the charts and the history of how these things responded. But again, some of you might be saying, all right, Tim, cool, that's what Bitcoin did. You talked about altcoins, right? A lot of you guys, we've seen over a lot of times, you like to hear our Bitcoin analysis, but you really like to hear our thoughts about the altcoin market. Why? Because we all know that Bitcoin is great and it's a long-term great storage of value. But if you want to make a lot of money in this market, in this bull market, you need to be invested in the altcoin space. What do altcoins do during this season? The best chart to take a look at is the Total 2 chart. If you're not familiar with Total 2, Total 2 is the market cap for all of cryptocurrencies excluding Bitcoin. At the moment, it's coming in around $1.2 trillion in total market cap. So that means the Ethereums, the XRPs, Solanas, Cardanos, AVAX, Chainlink, Ondo, you name it. All of the altcoins except for Bitcoin go into Total 2. So this tells us a lot of what we can expect, or it tells us what altcoins looked like historically during these seasons. You saw that Bitcoin had a lot of rallies and pullbacks with the exception of one time back in 2023. But how did the altcoins respond during all of these periods? Let's go back. I'm actually going to start with just going straight to 2021. We're not going to go all the way back to 2019, even though if I did, I think you'd find, boom, right there. Well, we could. Let's just start there. End of June 2019. I don't have an arrow, but look at this. Altcoins, Total 2, rallying, also crashed. What was the length of this crash? After that conference, we peaked on the conference day. Even if you don't count COVID, altcoins would crash 64% over the next couple of months following the Bitcoin conference of 2019. Fast forward to the next big one. Again, my first conference. You have this one. It was moving up a little bit, but altcoins actually were making a substantial bounce back at this point, leading into the Bitcoin conference. But sure enough, boom, the conference hits. Bitcoin stayed a little volatile with some highs and lows. Altcoins would not see the same level again until much, much later in August. We watched altcoins follow the Bitcoin conference and crash over 43% in 2021. Keep moving forward. You go into the year 2022. Like I said, this was a bear market, but just like Bitcoin, altcoin space had begun to see another resurgence. A rally led in early to the conference, and then blammo. I'm not even going to talk about the percentages because you guys can see the altcoin market fell off a cliff. Now again, bear market, but it fell off a cliff. The Bitcoin conference gave us a rally into it and then fell off. Let's keep going and let's look at the year 2023. Remember, this is the one that Bitcoin really didn't do much. What did the altcoins do? This is the least significant crash, the smallest pullback, but we still saw a sign of, a couple days before, a little resurgence, maybe a little bottom is in, altcoins start to rally, and then boom, the conference finishes, altcoins would fall. Again, this is the least pullback whatsoever. 16% still is what altcoins pulled back after the Bitcoin conference. Of course, then we fast forward to 2024, another big dip in altcoin space. We rallied in the weeks before Bitcoin conference happens. Altcoins decide to pull back a whopping 34%. What is the point? What is the case we're trying to make here? What do you need to kind of wrap up at this level? Altcoins, historically, and I say historically, I could replace the historical word with always. And we're not talking about once or twice. We're talking about 5 times there's been a Bitcoin conference. Altcoins have rallied into the conference and then plummeted afterwards. So if you're coming in and saying, Tim, why are you fudding the space with this title, with this headline? Why are we talking about this? Why are you trying to scare people? Well, I'm not trying to scare people. I'm trying to show you, once again, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And anytime that you see something happen, 100% of the time, it doesn't necessarily guarantee it happens again, but it's not something to ignore either. This is something you absolutely want to pay attention to. If we see history repeat, let's just take a look at the evidence right here in front of us. Altcoins, since back in April, have been rallying into this timeline. Are we about to see another crash, another collapse of the cryptocurrency space? Now, real quick, before I go into further details and give you my opinion, let me know in chat, how does this make you feel right now? Seeing the analysis I just laid out before you, are you feeling good about it? Are you feeling bad about it? Are you not worried? Let me know how you are feeling. Tshroom, before I go into details and give my opinion, what is your take at this point? Seeing those charts, you're living through this. I know you joined into the crypto party right there at the end of 2021. So even though you weren't there for the 2021 conference, you've been around for all the rest of them. How are you feeling right now seeing those charts and reliving this history?
Yeah, Tim, you lay out a compelling argument, and it's interesting because we were waiting in line to hear JD Vance, and I was thinking this exact thing. I was thinking, I've observed that there's a sell-off after conferences, and I was just sitting there wondering. I wonder if we could do some kind of analysis. You just did all the analysis that in a split second I had the thought of wanting to do. So I really appreciate you putting all that together and presenting it. It's compelling, right? And
Right.
what we have to realize is that there is a phenomenon in investing and in trading called buying the rumor and selling the news, right? And traders all around the world, they've known very much so that this conference was going to be taking place. And so it's no surprise that there could be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking that that's probably what's going to happen. I've been scrolling through some of the Bitcoin treasury companies and just like looking at them, Strive, looking at Cantor Fitzgerald Partners, and a couple others, MSTR, and they're coming down right now. And so the stock market equivalent of Bitcoin is also kind of coming down, those stocks. So I think that they're probably front running the next big move. Now, this might present a question to investors, though, especially folks who are a little bit newer to the game, newer to the investing scene. They might ask the question, well, should I just sell now all of my Bitcoin or all of my Bitcoin stocks or my Ethereum or Solana or whatever, because Tim's saying that the price might go down. There's historical patterns that show that the price might go down. I'm here to tell you that the worst decisions I've ever made in investing is to sell, to buy lower in a bull market as an investment. As a trader, you have to sell to buy lower. That's the whole point of trading, right? But as an investor, my worst decisions and the worst financial outcomes that I've experienced was selling to buy lower in an uptrend in a bull market as an investor. And so just because the argumentation and the analysis that you're presenting is compelling doesn't necessarily mean that I should sell. So that's my thoughts here. And I really, again, appreciate you packaging all that together and doing the back test for this.
I think that what you said right there at the end is a perfect transition as we get in here, because the big question is, I just laid a case together that you're going to hear a lot of other people kind of try to echo. You know, people love to look at historical price movements. They want to find coincidences, continuations, and we want investing to be this simple cookie cutter. When this happens, you automatically do this. When this happens, you automatically do this. People want to make money very easily, and they don't want to do the digging and thinking about how these markets actually move. And so my nutshell case here is I just laid out a very strong reason. Every single time there's been a Bitcoin conference, if you had sold your Bitcoin and altcoins at the conference, you would have made a wise decision. That does not mean that you should be selling this time. Let's go back through, and I want to explain to you a couple different reasons why you should not be selling. And I'm not saying there won't be any type of a pullback, because I want to take a look at the charts and show you I do think actually a small retracement could happen. But is it big enough for you to sell? We'll talk about that here in just a second. Let's go back to the charts and let's go through the actual context, because what I always hate hearing, and if you guys have been following our channel for a while, you know I hate hearing, well, this happened before, so it has to happen again. That's not necessarily the case. I hate when people say sell in May and walk away, right? I'm the biggest, I'm the biggest advocate of saying throw that sentence out with the garbage. And if you guys have been watching this May, if you had sold at the beginning of May, you would have made a major, major mistake. But that's the same kind of thinking that can affect decisions like this. Let's go back to the conferences individually. And I'm not going to go back to 2019, because if I'm being honest with you, this was a part of a rally. I don't necessarily remember. I was not heavily invested in crypto at the time, so I don't remember the context of what was going on in June of 2019, other than we started to rebound and rally. I don't remember the exact state of the economy. Of course, COVID had not hit, but there was a small recession in 2018 that was a part of that bear market. As a whole, I want to fast forward and focus on the 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 Bitcoin conferences, price actions, what was going on at the time. And I'm not going to say the Bitcoin conference played zero role in this, but I want to make sure the context is very clear. So here in the crypto space, crypto had a massive bull market at the end of 2020, early 2021, and then what happened here in May? Yes, there were some overbought signals. Yes, it was time to correct, but no one could have prepared themselves for what months ago was the biggest bullish proponent, ended up crashing the markets. I'm talking about Elon Musk and Tesla. Up to this date, in 2021, crypto was almost entirely driven by retail investors like you and me, not the institutions, not the massive billionaires. It was everyday people. And so to hear in January of 2021 that Elon Musk, one of the wealthiest men in the world, and Tesla, one of the most respected companies in the world, was buying Bitcoin, this caused a massive buy frenzy. But then in May, when a lot of FUD started to come out about Bitcoin and about crypto in general, when the governments and institutions getting scared about this potential decentralized currency threatening their power, they began to run FUD article after FUD article. And the one that caught Elon, because of course with Tesla, he's trying to save the planet from dying, was that Bitcoin mining and crypto mining in general was a catastrophe environment. And so what happened was Elon Musk came out and pretty much sold a bunch of Bitcoin saying, hey, when it gets better, more friendly for the environment, we'll talk about buying it back, which, by the way, a couple months ago, that happened. But there was a massive sell-off and a massive concern and fear from people that crypto could not recover. And while I think the conference gave some hope, we were not out of the woods whatsoever. There was a whole lot of negativity flowing in the space. And so the reason why crypto continued to crash back in 2021 was not because of the Bitcoin conference. It was because we were dealing with a massive FUD campaign this entire summer and then really into the fall as well. But mostly in that summer, we were doing a massive FUD campaign from institutions, from governments. Don't blame the Bitcoin conference for an altcoin crash. Blame where the market was in general at the time. Fast forward, of course, I told you in this was the bear market. And throw out a conference. In bear markets, dead cat bounces and retests happen all the time. Did the Bitcoin conference help attract some attention and some hype into the end of March? Sure. But at the end of the day, don't blame the conference for a massive crash. Blame the fact that inflation was getting out of control and Jerome Powell was dragging his feet with finally raising interest rates. Inflation was going berserk. The economy was beginning to crumble. The stock market in general entered into a whole long year of a recession. Why would altcoins have made it any better? Once again, don't blame the conference. Blame the environment. You fast forward into 2023, while we had bottomed out at the time, you still were in a phase where, hey, the bottom's in, but there's no really big catalyst driving the markets. So as a whole, we just started ranging here between about a $500 billion market cap and somewhere here closer towards a $600 billion market cap. Again, a little bit of excitement for the conference, but no driver, no economic driver, no news driver, nothing really promoting any long-term bullish endeavors going on. The price corrected. Again, a very small correction, but it did correct. Don't blame the conference, blame the market. Same with 2024. In the summer of 2024, after Bitcoin had set a historic all-time high before a Bitcoin halving, there began to be concern about the future of the country. It became very clear that inflation numbers and unemployment numbers were probably being faked a little bit under the Biden administration. Whether you liked it or not, it became very clear the numbers tell us the economy is doing well, but the people understand that things aren't going well. And there was a lot of excitement out of potential if Donald Trump's elected president, maybe the crypto market will resume. Well, what was happening during the summer of 2024? At one point, it looked like Trump was a shoo-in because Biden was just health-wise not going to make it. But then there was a switch from Joe Biden being the Democratic nominee to Kamala Harris being the Democratic nominee. And a little bit of life started kicking back into the Democratic Party. Well, the fear of economists and the fear of what the future looked like said that if Kamala Harris was going to become president of the United States, the economy might not do well. Now, some of you guys might be laughing at that because, of course, Donald Trump gets elected president here in January and cryptocurrencies fell off a cliff. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the emotions, the experience of what was happening in the summer. And while we did see a little bit of a bounce, this ultimately was just a simple formation in play. There was no clarity for certain about who the next president was going to be, and the markets were consolidating in what we call a descending channel. It was not until November when we found out on November 5th that Donald Trump would be the next president of the United States that the bull market would take off once again. So, did a little bit of hype play a role in Bitcoin moving to the upside? Absolutely. But as a whole, this was a massive season of indecision. During the same time period, there was a little levels of pressure coming in that Kamala Harris was picking up steam. There was a combination of several things, along with I think it was this was the time the Japanese yen also had a carry trade that was a problematic future. We blame the conference, but the reality is the economy and the circumstances drove the price action of altcoins back down. So when you look at it, again, excluding 2019, because I don't have enough memory about that time to go back into it, the ones that I remember, you can see that while all four of them brought dips to the markets, they all had economic or situational things happening that caused those pullbacks as well, that made the Bitcoin conference a convenient scapegoat. Whereas when you go into what we have right now, I don't want to pretend that we have this massive clarity about where crypto is going. But we do have an administration in Washington, D.C. that is not just bullish about Bitcoin, but is also massively bullish about cryptocurrencies. We are watching worldwide leaders that formerly, countries like India, would not allow their people to trade and hold cryptocurrency. We're watching them shift from saying, all right, crypto should not be banned. Crypto should be regulated. Speaking of regulation is one of the biggest things stopping massive adoption from institutional investors. We know that institutions are lining up at the door to invest in this technology, but a lot of them have some safeguards in place that until there's clear regulation, they can't make a move whatsoever. Well, is talking about this summer is still going to be a massive summer for cryptocurrencies. We're still anticipating this summer to bring that regulation that will unlock the trillions of dollars of institutional money into the crypto space. Altcoins are going to be a massive, massive benefactor of that news. The only thing I would say at this point in time that is holding altcoins back from going crazy explosive would be that the Fed has not yet decided to cut rates. Why is that an important detail? Because at the moment, even though there's some money flowing, it's really hard to borrow money right now. In case you didn't know, interest rates are still ridiculously high. You go to try to get a home loan. Yeah, it's better than it was maybe a year ago, but not necessarily a whole lot. It's still hard to borrow money. When it's hard to borrow money, there's a lack of liquidity or money flowing into space to buy risk on assets. Okay? So why is the Fed not cutting rates? Because we talked about potentially them cutting it as soon as June. That's not going to happen at this point. The reason the Fed has said they're not going to cut rates is because they are concerned about the uncertainty of inflation due to tariffs. That is not yet settled. However, if you read the recent headlines, if you read how trade talks are going, the biggest one that's a problem is probably the one with China. And from what we understand right now, we have all summer to kind of find a solution, but those talks seem to be going well. Even the bad news from last week when the EU seemed to be playing hardball and all right, what do you think about a 50% tariff? All of a sudden, EU is very eager to line up and come communicate with American officials to negotiate and come to some sort of a deal. The big bad bear, tariffs that have caused this whole, go back to my chart here, this whole collapse since January is starting to get settled. And when it gets settled, watch the liquidity flow back in, not just for Bitcoin, but finally allow people to go heavily into altcoins. I believe this summer we're still going to see a major altcoin season. I believe that Bitcoin conferences were never the catalyst for these collapses. They were simply the scapegoats of coincidence that caused markets to fall back down. But this time is different. The economy's different. The environment's different. The amount of people who want to invest in cryptocurrency, it is all different. Another thing that you'll notice here, let's go back to these time frames. Almost every single one of these that had a parabolic run, they into their run and started to form very bearish indicators, right? From a chart perspective, if you go back to 2024, I got to zoom in here for a second. So give me just a second. There you go. All right. If you come in here and you look at the end of this run, because we did run in July, we started at the top to form what's called an ascending channel. Ascending channels are bearish. Bearish indicators, of course, produce downward movements. What this chart was communicating was that this was an overextended, overbought market. A correction was needed. Same thing you could say going back to, not this one, because that's kind of, like, there was a channel right there, but let's go back all the way over here into 2022. The same thing could be said after the parabolic run. Look at how we started to slow down, chop, and consolidate in another upward channel. Again, these formations are not bullish at the end of rallies. These are actually the signs you're looking at that says, this explosive movement might be coming to an end. A reversal looks to be likely. What is the difference between that and what's happening right now? Let's go back over here in 25. Takes me a second because I'm on the daily chart. Instead of forming a channel after this explosive movement, instead right now is one of two possible formations. Number one, if this support level right now continues to hold, we have an uptrending level of support, a downtrending level of resistance. This is called a symmetrical triangle pattern. And when symmetrical triangle patterns are attached to an explosive movement in price action, we call them bull pennants. Bull pennants, when you take the flagpole of the pennant, you move it over to a breakout spot, would predict that this chart, this is the total 2 chart, the market cap of cryptocurrency in the next couple of weeks could find its way up over 1.5 trillion, a level we have not seen since guess when? Back on January 20th, when all of the collapse started to happen. Let's pretend, though, that a pullback does end up happening. Why am I saying that? Because at the end of the day, I laid out a great reason why I don't think there's going to be a colossal collapse. We are still seeing, thanks to Luxalgo, that the markets on Total 2 are a little overextended. We have a red sell signal. We have bearish momentum. We have negative money flow. The MACD has just crossed bearish here a couple of days ago. The RSI looks like it's wanting to reset and come back down to lower levels. What this would signify to me, if the bulls can't support and hold this level right here is that we might see the markets cool off again and come down here back towards 1.1 trillion, in which case the support level, if I grab the right one, goes from being a symmetrical triangle pattern into being, guess what? The exact opposite of what the other markets have given us. It would be a descending channel. And while this isn't necessarily as bullish as symmetrical, descending channels are still bullish formations when attached to a flagpole, still give us a bullish prediction for a breakout back up towards 1.5 trillion. So at the moment, there's a massive difference in the environment, in the economy, and in the charts on what the altcoins are doing coming into Bitcoin conference. Like I said, I'm not telling you there won't be a pullback of any kind. In fact, I believe there is a chance that this daily smart trail could/should be touched back down towards 1.1 trillion. But forget the 30 or 40 or 50 or 60% pullbacks. We're talking about a very mild 12 to 13% pullback on altcoins before the bull run continues. The same thing probably is very likely when it comes to Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin right now is back up just days before at an all-time high. Don't blame the conference for why we need to pull back on Bitcoin. Talk about the fact that we see overbought levels, sell signals coming in on the daily chart, and more than likely we're going to see Bitcoin pull back as well, back down here towards, if I zoom in, somewhere back down towards $103,000 to $104,000 before they resume their rally. This does not kill the bull market. This does not mean that a bear market's coming and you should sell all your crypto and run for the hills. What this means is, in this bullish trend where anything's possible, buy any dip you can. And instead of freaking out about these potential pullbacks, Bitcoin to 103, altcoins back down towards 1.1 trillion, use these as a specific example and time to buy the dips before that regulatory clarity comes, before that liquidity comes in, before the altcoin season starts more than likely later this summer, before the massive rallies come back. You want these types of dips to add into your bag so you can actually make millions of dollars in this bull market. I've just given a very long-winded take here, but I really hope that this has helped you if you guys have been wrestling with the historical precedence of these Bitcoin conferences. The fact that you're going to hear a lot of time this week, guys, sell your crypto and run for the hills. We always crash after Bitcoin conferences. Hopefully this has been extremely beneficial to you to show you the context and the reality of what the crypto market looks like at the moment. Tshroom, I'm going to get a drink of water. What are your thoughts after I laid out that case?
Tim, it's going to sound flattering, but you laid out that case so well, and it's so important to go back and backtest, bros. What you just saw, that took some time with the analysis that Tim has. Apparently, when Tshroom and Crux go to Vegas, Tim gets a lot more brain space to be able to really think and process things. So we're gonna have to go to Vegas a lot more, Crux. I guess that's the conclusion I'm thinking. And why not? We get to come to an amazing studio like here at Sin City. Look at this awesome LCD screen behind me, LED, LCD, whatever it is. It's HD, and I'm loving it. But no, back to what you were saying, Tim. That is going to be the next media cycle here in crypto, right? There's a sell-off because of the Bitcoin conference is over. It's the hangover afterwards. Everybody's leaving Vegas, having lost money, and so they have to sell, blah, 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 blah. The reality is that we do have a lot of fundamental supports that are intact. You mentioned a lot of international buying that's going on. It's not just America, but it is still America. And the 401k holders are continuing to buy the ETFs at record levels. So I wouldn't put in like a long-term short here on Bitcoin. And I absolutely, as an investor with my investment bags, would not be selling to buy lower. That just is not what makes sense here. And Tim, I think you really display a very compelling argument for that wasn't on a lot of people's radar, that there is usually a sell-off after conferences, but it's not that simple, because sometimes there's other events that are going on and there's just a general bearish macro environment that conference is taking place in. And so it's, that buy the rumor, sell the news has a magnified effect to the down, an amplified effect to the downside. So, on behalf of the bros, I definitely want to thank you for doing that analysis. That was really, really good. And I think you presented it in a way where it's still up to me to make that decision, what I end up doing, buying, selling, holding, going leverage long, going leverage, whatever it's going to be. You just present the facts, and that's what I love so much. But Absolutely, Tim. Thank you so much for doing that analysis.
Thank you, Tshroom, for those words. I want to move in. That took a little longer than I was thinking it would take necessarily. So we only have a couple of minutes left on the show, but I did promise in our Discord that I would do some technical analysis on altcoins. Now, here's what it's going to get to. I'm going to give a nice little plug here. You guys smash the like button if you're enjoying this episode so far. If you're learning a lot, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you always smash that like button. If you want to have an impact on what we talk about during live shows, if you want to have an impact on how we address videos that come out 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're putting out uploads. We might even be changing the time from 3 p.m., putting out earlier, maybe sometime between 9 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can get access to them sooner. It's another discussion we're having, which the T-shirt might not know about, actually. That's a Smay and I conversation. If you want to have an impact on what we do, there's a free way that you guys can be more involved with what we're doing, and that is our free Discord. Show my screen here. This is a poll we put in today. I was asking people what coins they wanted me to talk about. And you can just see the just hundreds of responses of people giving their coins they wanted TA on. Well, we limited it down. We took the most answers. I said, all right, of the 5 here, I saw a lot of people say Link, Render, Sui, Ondo, Tau. Which ones do you guys want to see? The leader right now is Link. So we're going to do some Link TA here in a second. But if you want to have an impact on the coins that we're doing TA on the live shows, the video topics that are being put out, go join this free Discord. In general chat, you can comment, you can respond to polls, you can be a part of the bros community and learn with us. If you want to go a step further and learn how to do the technical analysis, learn how to trade, learn how to set your portfolio up properly, you always can join the VIP trading group where we're live every single day. There's a lot of live trading sessions, Q&As, fundamental analysis. It's a full package that you really can't beat anywhere you go. If you want to take another step further, learning more about investing and trading, join that group. But even if you want to just be in the free group and learn some there, go check out that Discord. So Link TA is the winner. Let's go take a look really quickly at Chainlink technical analysis at the moment. I'll give a freebie here again. This is a trading group chart here that we have up. We have been DCAing into a long position here on Chainlink. Our first entry was up here at 1620. Our second one we've got in here just a couple days ago again at 1505. We will enter another trade at 1439. And if we do go down below 1317, we'll go ahead and hit our stop loss. We'll get out of it, regroup, and look for another position. But at the moment, I feel very strongly about these support levels holding up. Chainlink, we talked about the different sell signals on Bitcoin and on Total 2. That's not necessarily as strong of a movement here on Chainlink. Yes, we did have a sell signal here days ago. Some bearish divergence, red reversal, bearish momentum. You can see the negative money flow. It's still negative, which is leaving me open to the potential chance of more negativity coming. But instead of the Bitcoin dominance chart, the smart trail, goodness gracious. Instead of the smart trail being drastically down beneath us, look where it's coming in at. Right here around that 1436 mark. And so right now, that is a target that we have. If we lose that smart trail completely, again, that's where our stop loss is coming into. But this is a very mild, small pullback here for Chainlink. We could, if the bulls just want to continue to move on without it, go on to the upside. But right now, with what the Bitcoin chart looks like and what the altcoin chart looks like, I would not be surprised to see Chainlink way back here down towards $14.30. Now, all this is because the reason why we're talking about these longs is because when you make moves up to the longer time frames like the weekly chart, we received a buy signal weeks ago back in mid-April, green reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow, a positive MACD, a positive RSI. We see a lot of positivity giving us targets for Chainlink at least back up towards $25, if not all the way up towards $40. And if I'm right, which I think that I am, if we are going to see an explosion this summer for altcoins, do not be surprised to see Chainlink before the end of the summer be up towards that $40, $50 mark. You don't want to miss out on these opportunities. We've already established some very bullish structure after a big collapse since January 20th on Chainlink. We have missed out on these opportunities. Oop, I'm hearing a little echo there. There we go. It's better. We've already started to establish some very bullish structure Chainlink, topping out and getting back above former high positions of resistance. For example, back here at 16, we have been setting higher highs and higher lows on Chainlink since that early April date, simply pulling back and even coming all the way down to $14, you still see a flow of higher highs and higher lows. This is a bullish trend right now that I do not believe is over. I think we got a lot further to go to the upside, not just this summer, but long after that. But that's the levels that I'm watching for right now on Chainlink. Don't be surprised if we start to kind of form a little bit of a descending channel ourselves right here on Chainlink. We bounce down, we touch this range of 1430, and then Chainlink takes up off and to the right. Upside and to the right. Again, if you guys want to know more about how we're trading these coins, we have several trade setups in our VIP trading group right now. Go check them out. If you want to learn how to trade, the VIP trade group is the best place to do it. Also, if you want to know where to trade, check out Blofin in the link down below. They are our sponsored exchange, but we chose them because there is no exchange better out there. If you don't want to have to VPN, if you don't want to have to KYC, but you're an American and you want to be leverage trading the cryptocurrency markets, there's not a better solution out there than Blofin. Check out that link. Click on our link in the description. Go check them out. Start trading today. And again, join that VIP trading group, and you'll have a massive community of like-minded people helping you understand when to get in, when to get out, and how you're going to make millions of dollars in this bull market. With that said, it's 3:57. It's almost time to wrap it out. We're not going to have a Smaze crazy corner today. Instead, I want to throw it back over to Tshroom. Tshroom, you are on the grounds at the Bitcoin conference. We spent a lot of our show today discussing it. What are you most excited about coming forward? You listened to JD Vance this morning. Who else is on your agenda to listen to throughout the rest of this conference?
Absolutely. So I'm going to throw one out there for folks who really, really know Bitcoin and really know the space. Caitlin Long, Custodia Bank, will be speaking. I believe it's tomorrow. That is the one that I think is going to be really, really important. And there's a lot to get into, but it gets kind of heady there. But that's definitely the one that I'm most excited for. But the thing that I'm most excited for more than anything actually isn't even necessarily in Vegas, because Crux of Crypto over at Alpha Bros has just dropped when he is going to be selling his altcoins, what his exit strategy is going to be looking like for crypto. So make sure that you jump over to Alpha Bros and on YouTube, just go ahead and search it. Yeah, there it is.
Go to the video tab. Go to the video tab, Smay, so we can see the recent video. That's not showing us the most recent ones.
There we go. Not me.
This is not dropped yet. This is actually about to go live in 2 minutes, I believe. This My Exit Plan video. 2 people are waiting. Yeah, it premieres here in 2 minutes. So make sure right after you're done with this show to go watch it. It's going to be great alpha there from Crux.
Yeah. And look at how awesome the technical prowess of sophisticated screen sharing is over here at the Sin City Studios. Again, another huge thank you to Sin City for making this happen. If you are in Las Vegas and you want to make any kind of recordings or live streams, look no further than Sin City Crypto. Absolutely. And you can DM them on Twitter or find them in the interwebs and just book your time down here to make it happen for you or your brand here in the Las Vegas area or in California. There's aren't any good studios in California. So if you're in the LA, Sacramento, just head on over, book a flight to Sin City and make it happen for you. So, but I'm excited. There's a lot of other speakers here in Vegas. Crux and I are going to be kicking around. So if you are here in Vegas, make sure you link up with us and we'll have a good time and give you a good firm handshake, good firm bros handshake. And there he is. There's Rob making it happen. How you doing? Working the board. And thank you so much to Sin City for making this happen. Thank you so much for Satoshi for making this.
Absolutely. And again, thank you to all you guys for once again getting us over that 50,000 subscriber mark. If you guys are just joining, we hit it yesterday. We weren't thinking it was going to happen that fast. Tshroom's out of town. So come week, Wednesday live shows. Every Wednesday, 3 p.m., we are live, unless it's an FOMC day, a little early. We will be doing a giveaway for all of our subscribers. You might be saying, Tim, I'm not subscribed to the channel just yet. Does that mean I count? Well, I don't know who would be subscribed now or next week. So subscribe right now so you can pretend to be one of the first 50,000 subscribers of the Investing Bros channel. Guys, that's all we have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Look forward to, again, I don't know if it's tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to be putting out a video, how to invest for your mother-in-law. If you guys have a mother-in-law that needs to invest in crypto, you're not going to want to miss that video. We'll see you next time. Adios.